So this is a hard story. This is a really hard story, and I really struggled to decide whether or not I should actually do a video about this. Because this is where we have to really break out the James O'Brien line, which is you have compassion for the conned, not the con men. And I've always said, when it comes down to Brexit, you have to separate the Brexiteers, so people like Farage, Johnson, Kate Hoey, Daniel Hannan, to the average person who voted for Brexit for a myriad of reasons. And we've said it before, if you got everyone who voted for Brexit and then you said, okay, here are the Brexit options, you wouldn't get a consensus. But one of the things we have been keeping very much an eye on is what's been going on in the UK seafood industry. It is one of the areas that has been the hardest hit. Yeah, from the Brexiteers and the Leave campaign sold British fishing as being revived by Brexit, that this would be the opportunity to change the fortunes of the British fishing industry. And places like Grimsby, which we're talking about today, as you can see here, it's a main industry for that town still. And the fact that we've got this massive factory, this onshore processing factory closing with the loss of over 500 jobs. And as we've said before, whenever you talk about these local job, these big type of factories closing, can the Grimsby local economy absorb that amount of job losses? And again, I don't know Grimsby. I don't know its sort of local economy, but something tells me I really don't think it can absorb that many job losses. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, they are really worried about their jobs. So as many of you I know, I really want to go and sort of, oh, it's Grimsby, one of the highest places that voted to leave. I really encourage you today to not do that, because today, when we sort of have this news, is not the day to laugh at that. Unfortunately, this is one of the things that we warned about that has happened. And this is a bad consequence. This is a bad consequence, not just for Grimsby, but for the people who are employed at that seafood factory. But as always, like I say, I know my audience, so I know you will sort of be kind today. So, as always, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel. So, over to Grimsby Live to cover their coverage of this. The title of Landmark Grimsby Seafood Factory closing after losses of over £80 million. One of Grimsby's landmark seafood factories is closing in a major blow for the town. The former five-star fish facility was taken on by the Icelandic Seafood International back in 2020, but has recorded a staggering £8 million worth in losses, with bosses blaming Brexit, the pandemic, and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It marks tragic ends to the hopes of a very quick return to the heydays of one of Grimsby's largest fish processing factories. And let me say one of the big things, of course, Brexit really is sort of the main thrust here, as and not to say that the pandemic and of course the Russia's invasion of Ukraine haven't sort of played a part in this. Ultimately, what Brexit always did was it was going to leave our economy more exposed to these types of shocks, which it very clearly has. So the pandemic and, again, the invasion of Ukraine have played a factor in it. But Brexit is the main one, because the fishing and seafood industry has moved on. It's no longer just about catching the fish, it's about onshoring them and bringing them to processing facilities. The fishing and seafood industry has gone from one that now mainly operates at sea to now being operating a lot of its business now onshore. Obviously, still they've got to go out and catch the fish, but now all the jobs predominantly are now onshore at sites like this. So Brexit is going to hurt it massively. Why? First of all, onshoring, because any fisherman being in the EU Common Fisheries Policy could go, well, I can go to Grimsby and I can get a better price for my fish. Or a UK fisherman could go, well, I can go to Iceland, Denmark, even France, land my fish there and get a better price for them. Of course, that's no longer the case. And as a result, we've seen other factories that we've talked about quite some time ago in the very same similar situation of them making big losses. So it's not alone in this factory. I wouldn't be surprised if there have been others that have closed down as well. So back to it. The ISI will now pull out of the UK and will focus on its European operations. Exactly like every other European operator we've seen. Every time we cover this, it's always the European operators pulling out because why? Easy to operate in Europe. Brexit has made it just too difficult for them to have a base in the UK anymore, so they pull out. And unfortunately, that leads to huge job losses. So back to it. It had united an existing West Yorkshire businesses within the region, neighbouring Havelock of One, bringing back to use of the heavily invested 100,000 square foot plant last operated back in 2018 by two sisters. Back in August, ISI admitted that the plant was taking longer to break even than expected, and the losses of over 80 million have now been revealed for the first time 9 months of the year. The group chief executive, Brahman Anderson, said that the Icelandic Seafood UK invested in the operation facilities in Grimsby and managed its operations from Bradford and Grimsby into this location. The investment and the decision of the merger was completed in March of 2020, just before the COVID-19 started. But the revelation and the installation of the factory was very much affected by COVID-19 and later Brexit, along with difficulties in overall operations. A total of 30 new jobs had been anticipated initially, building on 90 existing positions at Havelock, with more than 500 having been employed on the site at its peak. Built by Five Star, the company and former Grimsby Town chairman, John Felty, founded, it was sold on with the successful buyers running into trouble, with a total of over 380 roles were lost when it finally closed in 2018. Expecting the situation in an update to the investors, Mr. Armisen said in 2022 that it had turned into a very challenging year, he continued. A year when we expected COVID-19 to end and life to go back to normal, which turned into a year characterized by the war in Europe, disastrous in the value of size of supply chains, the high volatility in commodities, food prices, and the cost of capital. We're experiencing headwinds which require difficult decisions to be made and sails to be adjusted to change the winds. We believe in the future, and we are well positioned in our key markets with well-run added value operations in Europe. But we must adjust to a different reality, and therefore exiting the UK market from a value-added perspective. This is a difficult decision, but I believe is the right one to do. We are committed to maintain our stakeholders and maintain our community and commitment to run profitable businesses within the European value-added seafood industry. So there you have it. A lot of job losses, certainly. But one, I hate to say it, guys, but we warned about this, and today's not a day for gloating. Unfortunately, it's a sad day for many people in Grimsby. They are going to lose jobs. They are going to lose out on a massive sector of investment. Now this company's gone. This leaves that site, barren. Who knows? A 100,000 square foot facility is quite difficult to actually, sell on to someone else, because now you've got to find someone else to take it on. So that's going to be proving to be quite a difficulty. I won't be surprised if this site takes quite some time to sort of move on, or just get maybe flattened to develop something else. I wouldn't be surprised. But there you go. Yeah. It's a sad day for the people of Grimsby, but you know, what else can we do except, tell them, guys, when it comes around to sort of voting back into the EU, whatever form that might take, you've got to vote back. You've got to change. You've got to have a serious decision about what happened and who conned you. I can't say it any other way, but you have my absolute deepest sympathies if you worked there, or maybe you worked there in the past. But that is going to be a big blow to the town. A big, big blow. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a motivation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.